Welcome back, familiar, to Northside LDN. And today we've got news that Yildiz, the Juventus left winger, his contract talks have stalled with Juventus, and the two clubs in for him are Arsenal and Chelsea. He's been touted at 90 million euros. It's probably about 80 million pounds, or rough that, 75 million pounds. And Arsenal, once again, are in the race for Yildiz. This is a player that we've been linked to ever since the summer. Ever since the summer, we've been linked to this Yildiz. A lot of people that watch Serie A, watch Juventus, say he's a baller. He's a very good player. I've not seen a lot from him, seen a couple of highlights, but haven't seen him on a week-to-week basis. He looks like a decent winger. Arsenal do need to upgrade on that left-hand side. And we need to see. We need to see what's going to happen. In January, I definitely want Arsenal to go in and get a left winger. I wanted Lookman. Or a player like that I know a lot more of. But if this Yildiz guy, if he's as good as what a lot of people say he is, I have no problem. I have no problem. He can play through the middle. He can play as a striker. He can play as a right winger as well. But we need somebody that's an out-and-out left winger that can actually hold down that position. Trossard has been good. Martinelli has been good as well at times during the season. But they're not players that are going to hold down that left-hand side. They're not players that are going to, week in, week out, going to hold down that place and hold down that spot. And let's not forget, in the summer, we was trying to get rid of Martinelli and Trossard. We're trying to get rid of both of them. So, really and truly, does the club look at them as the future left wingers? Martinelli has been putting in some good performances when he was available, playing through the middle, which is his natural position. Trossard, great goal against Sunderland. But does he turn up week in, week out? No. He goes through a purple patch and then his form dips. So I'm expecting us to get, to sell Trossard and Martinelli probably in the summer. We should be going out there getting a left winger that starts week in, week out. Somebody that can hold down that spot. And at the end of the day, you can play Madueke, but a lot of times he plays Madueke on the right, not the left. And I don't really think Madueke is of the quality. Madueke, I don't really rate him like that. So, listen, we could do a lot better. We could do a lot worse, sorry, instead of getting Yildiz. But it's big money. We now got this Michelli, head of scout. Obviously, Berta as well was there with his ideas of players and wingers that we want to get. I don't really want to hear this Semenyo talk. I know everyone keeps talking about Semenyo. I think he's overhyped. I don't think he's as good as what people think he is. I think he's a player that thrives with space, which would give us the limitations of a Martinelli. Martinelli is another one that thrives when there's space in and behind the defenders. When it's taken on players, he's not the greatest unless he's got space in behind. And I think Semenyo is the same as well. He had a great season last season. I think this season it's kind of leveling out. People are really seeing his level that, he's a good player. I don't think he's as great as what some people put him on a pedestal to, but that's just my opinion. For me, I just think that not only do we need a left winger, and Yildiz, if his contract is stalling with Juventus, we definitely can put him on wages that Juventus can't pay. And yeah, hopefully now that we've got, footballing people like Berta, like Michelli, at the football club, they can get this deal over the line, and they can also get the Jesus deal over the line, because apparently talks with Everton and Jesus, apparently those are falling apart, and they're looking at other options, which I don't blame them for, because he is injury prone and he's not worth the wages that he's on. And would he really want to take a wage cut? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if Jesus would want to take a wage cut, or if he wants to see out the rest of his contract, because he knows he's not going to get this kind of contract again. So that's another thing. We got quite a few players to move on. Obviously, Lewis Skelly as well. We've got that whole thing with Lewis Skelly. Does he leave? Does he not? At the end of the day, if we get decent money for him, it is what it is. He's not going to be played. He's not favoured by the manager. I would like to see Skelly in the midfield. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. I don't think he's going to get in. But now, obviously, with news about Calafiori being getting a hip injury out with Italy, maybe Skelly can start as a left back now. Maybe he can get more games. Maybe, we're going to see. Calafiori is still going to get a couple of scans and tests, and they're still going to see how severe the hip injury is. But yeah, it's one of them ones where I just look at it and just think, look, there's a couple of positions that I'd like to strengthen in January. Do I think that we're going to strengthen them? No, I don't. If we do bring a player, I think it would only be one anyway. If we do bring a player in January, we definitely need a left winger. This, like I said, Yildiz, is he good enough? We'll see. It's still an expensive gamble, but it is what it is. I feel like we need another striker. Let's be honest. Moreno week in, week out's not good enough. Moreno's good as like a impact sub or somebody coming off the bench, not somebody that you rely on week in, week out. You look at Moreno's performances ever since Gyökeres got injured against Burnley. It's not been off the level. So I feel like we should go get another striker. I don't rate Havertz like that, so I don't want Havertz to be our second striker, to be honest. I don't rate him like that. For me, I don't like that Madueke is the backup for Saka. I don't think that the level and quality is a massive drop, even with Saka, for me, being not at his best so far this season. He's not playing at his best level due to fatigue and injuries. Madueke, for me, being a backup, it's a massive downgrade, in my opinion. Massive downgrade. I do think we need another, even though we got Norgard and Moreno, I feel like we need another DM. I think if anything happens to Declan Rice, not only do we lose the quality from the crosses of Declan Rice on set pieces, but we also lose somebody that's actually really good at winning a ball back. I don't think Zubamendi defensively is as good as Declan Rice. Neither is Norgard and neither is Moreno. Moreno can't even play in the midfield. He can't play in the midfield. He's horrendous when he plays in the midfield for us. So Moreno can't do that. Norgard is a steady Eddie. And Zubamendi, even though he plays in the 6 and Declan's in the 8, most of the time it's Declan sweeping up. You know what I mean? Most of the time it's Declan. Hold on a sec. Laptop's almost dead. There we go. Most of the time it's Declan, the one that's winning the ball back. Defensively, Zubamendi leaves a lot to be desired. So for me, I feel like we need another DM. We need a left winger, and yeah, that's what we really need, in my opinion. We need a left winger, a DM, and a striker. The striker and left winger, we need more, but I do think we need another DM. I think people are going to see if anything happens to Declan Rice, the levels drop with Norgards and Morenos in the midfield and Zubamendi's. I don't think they can do it. Also, positionally, Zubamendi is very poor positionally in terms of shielding that back line. A lot of times he's out of position. He's always chasing shadows and giving away fouls. There's a lot to be desired from Zubamendi. Do you know what I mean? I do still think he's a decent player. I just don't think he's the player that, you know, a lot of Arsenal fans put him on a pedestal to be. The next Partey. Definitely not good. His ball recovery is definitely not on the level of Thomas Partey. Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Defensively, he's nowhere near the level of Thomas Partey. Let's just be honest about it. He's not. He's not. But it is what it is. Obviously, the left-hand side, we'll see what happens with Calafiori. Will Skelly go in there for the North London derby? How good is Henkape? There's still question marks, but we got some players there. Hopefully, I'm hoping Henkape, you know, lives up to the hype around his name, because when he's come to Arsenal, a lot of people have been saying a lot of giving him a lot of glowing reviews for his performances in the Bundesliga. So let's see what he does here. And yeah, I think it's too early. He's not really had enough games for me to really judge Henkape, if I be completely honest. And yeah, I'm willing to give him a chance and see how good he is. Hopefully, he you know, he's quality, just like Timber. Hopefully, and like I said, every player that comes to Arsenal, you want them to be a success, but at the same time, you know, they got to prove themselves. You know what I mean? Same way as Gyökeres and the rest of them. There's some reports here about Saka saying Arsenal's not paying attention to what people think about them. He said people's opinions and thoughts about us change like the weather. The most important thing is the changing room, how solid we are, the foundations we have, the belief we have in ourselves, how we stick together through the good and the bad. That's the most important. We can't pay attention to external noise because it's always fluctuating. Listen, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be focusing on yourself. You're not supposed to be focusing on what the fans or what any of us have got to say. It's about going out there and proving yourself. And at the end of the day, the judgment will come at the end of the season, because we have to win a major honor this season. And that's when the judgment will come. So listen, I'm glad that Saka is focused. I'm glad that the manager's focused. All of these guys are focused on what they need to do. We're not listening to outside noise. The noise will increase if we continue to drop points like we did against Sunderland. Like I said before, we lost the league last season, not because of losses, but because of too many draws. And Sunderland was a game that we should have got the points. It was there for the taking in the second half. So ultimately, the pressure is going to keep increasing. The amount of money that's been bought in, the new people that we've bought in terms of scouting players, Berta and Maurizio Michelli, and the money that's spent on the squad. You know what I mean? Getting Eze and Gyökeres and all these players, Ubamendi, all these players over the line. It's time to deliver now. It's time to get over the line. So as much as, you know, the players and and the club are trying to act like there's no pressure, and the pressure will increase because we must win it this season. We must win it. There is no excuse not to win a major honor this season. This whole project, this whole process has to bring something. It has to bring something to fruition. We have to get something out of it. And if we don't, then this manager has to go now because you've had enough time and money and all of that. And you know, we have to move on. The team is good enough to compete. This is the year you have to be good enough to get over the line. And if you're not, then sorry, mate, but you got to go. Enough is enough. You know what I mean? So listen, big up to everyone that is locked in. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. What do you think about Yildiz? Do you think he'll be a great addition to Arsenal? Do you think there's other wingers like Lookman that we should go in for? Are you a fan of Semenyo? Which players do you like for Arsenal to bring in January? And let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. And I'm out. Love, familia.